Dr. Shobna Rajendran, neonatologist, Rainbow Children's Hospital, Chennai. Today we intend to come up with thoughts on nurturing your tiny tots. The whole intention of this program is to just enrich you and fine-tune you with some nurturing tips for your babies. A newborn, what do we mean by a newborn? Is a baby who is until about 28 days of life. They are considered as newborn, very small. We are specifically targeting those babies because they are highly vulnerable to diseases, and they, if such things come, their recovery is slightly more tedious. So we want to do prevention of any possible issues in them. Our whole intention is to reach every newborn and make sure they do grow well into healthier babies and do well emotionally and health wise. So in a gist, we want to be talking about if a baby is born, for the baby to have a good transition into this world, the mother should be well prepared during the antenatal period. So ideally it will be good if it is a planned pregnancy, and the mother to have taken up some folic acid periconceptionally, which is at least 3 months before conception, and to continue it for at least 1 month after conception. And this goes a long way in preventing congenital anomalies, which is more specific for the heart and lip related problem, which is preventable by just taking this small medicine. And they also need a good antenatal care with regards to their nutrition. There are other health problems which can be diabetes, hypertension, or hypothyroidism, and have their regular scans. Now when it comes to delivery, we always want them to have that they should be delivered in a hospital where it will be easy to meet any of their medical emergencies. So institutional delivery is one of the pivotal role in bringing out a good healthy neonate. I have a question here which says, how do I know when the baby is full? So the answer to this varies with different aspects of their life, but for a newborn, if the baby is sucking well at breast, when there is no pain for the mother and there is no soreness in the nipple, and the mother feels some softening of the breast after feed, and the baby goes into a comfortable sleep for at least 1.5 to 2 hours and has about 6 to 8 wet diapers a day, we consider this to be an adequate full feeding. The most crucial thing is we are looking at a weight gain of somewhere around 150 to 200 grams every week. In a gist to know I am feeding now, is my baby full or not? If the baby has effectively sucked the mother for at least 15 minutes and has gone into sleep on the breast and is able to continue the sleep to 1.5 to 2 hours and having good wet diapers, we are sure that the baby is full. But if the baby does not sleep properly, has constant crying which is only fulfilled by feeding, or the mother has a sore nipple, or the mother has a blister across the nipple, or she continues to have the congestion, then the milk transfer from the mother to the baby has not happened. So in this baby, transfer, latching and feeding technique has to be revised. I also have another question which says, how long should a 1-month-old sleep at night without eating? So 1-month-old is still not able to identify a day and night rhythm. For them, any part of the day is a day for them. They predominantly are too active in the night. So in case your baby goes in for at least 4 to 5 hours of sleep in the night at 1 month, it is not a concern at all. They can be left to sleep provided their weight gain is adequate. In case the baby gets up every 1.5 to 2 hours and sucks on the breast, go back to short nap, even that is normal provided the weight gain is good. Some of the babies have a pattern typically around 3 weeks of life to become excessively restless, which is like until about 2 to 3 weeks they would have been sleeping very well, but at 3 weeks they start becoming restless. They always want to suck on the mother's breast and they are unhappy when they are kept down. This is a phase in their life where they become voracious feeders, and because they are feeding a lot of milk, their tummy is always full. So when we put them flat, they tend to regurgitate and spit out milk. So to prevent that, we need to give them a head up position, which means their head is always above their tummy. So you will find a little bit of sleep disturbance between 3 weeks of life to 8 weeks, but it is self-limited. And if you just keep the baby upright on your shoulder and walk for a while, or make them lie down in a side-lying position, most of them do well. So instead of me answering the question, how long should the night sleep be? Probably a 1-month-old can sleep somewhere around 11 to 14 hours a day in 24 hours. I have another question which says, how often should you bathe the baby? So bathing a baby comes when the baby is able to manage the body temperature. When the babies are born, they are highly vulnerable for cold stress, which means they don't know to keep their body warm. So the first bath is never an emergency. It is always delayed until we know that the baby is growing well, their hands and legs are pink and warm to touch. Once they have come to this position, then bath can be started, ideally at a weight of somewhere around 2.5 to 3 kgs. Short baths, it should be around 5 minutes a bath can be given in a warm water, not cold, not too hot. It should not make the baby's skin red. And the bath can be given with any soap and shampoo. Once the baby reaches around 4 to 4.5 kg, you can bathe the baby twice a day. One can be a hair wash in the morning and another evening bath, which will make the baby very comfortable, and they will have long hours of sleep and relaxed phase in life, and their restlessness in the evening will come down. Regarding bath, hair wash can be done every day. Babies have something called seborrheic dermatitis on their seborrhea on their head, which is like flaky black things which will be stuck up to the hair. They cannot be removed in a day, but constant daily hair washes, which is preceded by a little bit of oiling, will help them recover from this this sort of a seborrhea in about 3 to 4 months. So everyday morning giving a hair wash is a good idea. During bath, keep the bath time short for about 5 to 10 minutes. Let the baby enjoy. The temperature should be enjoyable to the baby. Any soap can be given. Following a bath, a lotion or a moisturizer can be applied. Whether oil massages are needed for them, not really, but a little bit of oil can be applied to have a nice bonding time with the mother. So they are gently applied on the skin, and the joints of the baby are moved periodically, so he feels relaxed, and it is also a good phase for the mother to have a bonding with the baby. The other things that we want to speak about a newborn. So soon after birth, what is it a mother should know? If a mother is a new mother, she should be knowing what all she has to do as a newborn's mother. So we should understand it should be an institutional delivery. Soon after birth, 3 things are very important for the baby. One is keeping the baby warm, advising skin to skin contact with the mother, and also initiating breastfeeds as soon as possible. What do I mean by as soon as possible? Even the very 3rd or 4th minute of birth, if it is in a feasible environment, the baby should be put on breast. The ideal is as early as half an hour to 1 hour, the baby should have received the first breastfeeding. Okay, I have a question here. How often should you bathe a preemie baby? So a preemie baby, we mean the baby is less than 37 weeks. They can be as small as say about a few hundred grams to 2 or 2.5 kg. So the weight criteria we follow based on our experiences. We start bathing them after about 2.5 kgs of life. And the bath can be given every day if the baby is thriving well, and during bath the baby should not become blue, should not shiver, and it should be a comfortable bath. So it's ideal to postpone bathing to achieve a place when the baby can maintain the body temperature, which is identified by us seeing pink legs and hands always, and it should be gently warm. You can bathe a thriving, which is a weight gain. The preemie baby is gaining weight adequately every week, about 150 grams. You can bathe the baby after discharge at home every day. I have a question here which says, how do we differentiate hunger cry and colic cry? Well, this is something which every mother goes through, and now hunger cry and colic cry has an overlap of symptoms. Now we should understand what is a colic, what is a hunger. Hunger, a newborn baby does not know anything else but to cry. So they are always crying frequently for anything that they want to express. So sometimes it can be hunger, sometimes it can be discomfort. It can be a wet diaper, it can be a mosquito bite, too tight clothes, hot atmosphere, cold atmosphere, too much of noise, too much of light, or the baby just wants a cuddling. So it may be a little difficult for a first time mother to understand, but within few months they will be okay. As I told earlier, a colic is most prominent between 3rd week of life to around 8th to 12th week of life. In colic pain, the baby will settle when they are kept upright on the shoulder. And if you walk in a dim light room for about 20 minutes without any noise outside, gently tapping the baby on the trunk, that is on the back and back area, and you walk, the colic pain usually settles. This colic pain starts because they are fussy in the evening and they start demanding for more human contact, whereas a hunger cry settles only with breastfeeding. But the overlap that I spoke about is some of the colic needs a consolement. So the consolement is given by their most favorite habit of sucking. And when you offer the breast, they suck the breast and they are consoled. So it's not necessarily because of hunger they cried, but they wanted to soothe themselves with a human touch and sucking the mother. So colic too, if your baby is really having colic, evenings are very restless, you're not able to sleep well, and all your night goes on with sitting with the baby, here are a few tips for that. One is, make sure your latch and feeding technique is right and the baby is gaining good amount of weight. So which means feeding adequacy is happening. Second thing is small lifestyle managements in which always handle the baby up. The head is always up and the tummy is always down. Allow them to sit on your lap and have a large visual area to see. So if you make them sit on your lap with their head supported on your chest and their tummy and their back on your lap, they have a good posture in which the neck is not flexed and the tummy is also not crushed, but they're sitting straight. They enjoy this position. When you make them lie down, see that you make them lie down to one side. That is, either they are turned to left side or right side, and they are allowed to maintain this position. And they are more comfortable when somebody is speaking calm and nicely with them. So when the baby starts crying, many people in the family also start raising their voice to console the baby. Many times the baby does not like that. They want a quiet atmosphere with a well-lit room and someone to carry the baby upright and walk. So this is the way we can usually differentiate a hunger from a colic pain. Colics can be reduced by also enriching your baby with a nice warm bath in the evening, very soothing walk with them, and also a change in environment, which is just like taking your baby to the balcony or to the terrace or for a drive. They usually settle. I have another question which is asking me, can I give my premature baby water? Now, preterm babies do not require water until they reach 180 days of life, which means till 180 days and completion of 6 months, for any baby, term or preterm baby, it is always breast milk. That is the ideal nutrition to be given. Now, why do we not want water? What does water do to the baby? Why are we not for giving water? Is the first 6 months are the most crucial period for having a good velocity of weight gain in the child. So the baby is gaining weight exponentially and they are doubling their weight by 5 months and they triple by 6 months. So in this period, giving water will reduce their hunger and achieve a satiety with no weight gain in the baby. So nutritionally, the water will not allow the baby to grow, and it will also reduce the number of feeds that the baby will consume. In return, the water will keep the body hydrated and may increase the urine. However, in the 6 months, the breast milk has enough amount of water and nutrition to keep this baby hydrated as well as bring about growth. So that is the reason we do not want to give anything other than breast milk for a baby until 6 months of age. The next question I have is, do the 3-week baby recognizes a sound and can identify vicinity? So till about 4 months, they do recognize sound, but it is not with clarity in which they may turn towards the sound and see. They may do some startling. They might just go into a startle. Suppose the door bangs or the pressure cooker sound comes, or for a mobile sound, they have a startle. Definitely they can hear. But more patterned hearing starts happening after 3 months of life, which means they'll start turning towards the sound. They will see in that direction. They'll have a more calm behavior. And they do identify vicinity. If you see, after about 2 to 3 weeks of life, they will momentarily make eye contact with the caregiver. They will start looking at their hair or into their eyes, and they may even follow somebody walking. So if the baby is like this, the eyes will go into 180 degrees to see how they are around them is moving. So they can hear sounds and they can identify vicinity, but their sharpness, contrast skills will improve with time. Next question is, can I put lotion on my 1-week-old baby? Yes, you can. A 1-week-old baby is if the baby is not a low birth weight, which means who's not less than 2.5 kg, who's more than 2.5 kg, and if you have started bathing the baby, a little amount of lotion can be applied throughout the body. It should not be rubbed on the baby. It can be put. The next question is, I have, how can I increase my premature baby's weight? Okay, so this depends upon how preterm your baby is and whether the baby is in the NICU or inside the house. So suppose the baby is in the NICU, there are some nutritional and non-nutritional ways of increasing the feeds. Increasing the weight. The nutritional is, I'm speaking about the quantity of milk we give and how calorific we can make that milk. So there are some ways. If the baby is on exclusive breastfeeding, we pump the milk. We preferably give hind milk. So our breast milk has something called a fore milk and a hind milk. The fore milk is rich in water, whereas the hind milk is rich in fat. And in that hind milk, if we give predominantly hind milk for the preterm, they can gain weight. The second option is to mix something called milk fortifiers, which will have an added protein, lipids and calories. So we add 1 sachet, which is around 1 gram of it, to about 25 ml of milk, and we mix it and give it in each feed. The non-nutritional aspect, which is like, suppose other than nutrition, how can we increase the weight of the baby, is maintaining good temperature. So at no point should the baby's hand and feet be cold, clammy, because if they are not maintaining temperature, then all the nutrition that they feeding goes on and it is spent to maintain the body temperature. So ultimately their weight gain may not happen. So keeping them warm is needed. Now how do we keep them warm? What criteria is to say that my baby is warm is to have a nice cap on their head, mittens and socks and a dress, and once in 3 hours just take their hand and see. It should be pink and it should be warm to touch. It should not be hot and red like a tomato, or it should not be blue and cold. If it is hot, it means the baby is too wrapped or too hot. Even then they will not gain weight. So reduce the dress of the baby, and you can also reduce the temperature of the environment. Suppose the baby is too cold, clammy, that means it's underdressed and the baby is utilizing all the energy to keep the baby warm. So you can wrap the baby more, or you can also increase the temperature. Suppose you're using a fan or an AC, increase the temperature and switch off the fan. This will improve. The other non-nutritive thing is to give KMC. KMC is like keeping the baby on your breast so that your body warmth will get transferred into the baby and there will be a synchrony between both of you, and this definitely gives a lot of consolement to the mother to produce more milk and the baby a right position to feed and also gain weight. So these are two things. Suppose your baby is not on breastfeeding and you are having a mixed feed of breastfeeds and formula or only formula. Preterm feed is something, preterm formula is one which you can be using until the baby becomes 2.5 kg to improve the weight. The next question is, which oil is best for newborn baby? So oil is good to improve the nourishment of the skin. We do not use mineral oil. So mineral oil means petroleum based or Vaseline based oil we do not use. We can use coconut oil or badam oil, but even vegetable oil, if they are used harshly or in a large quantity, can close their skin pores and cause irritant dermatitis. So there is no best oil, but with practice we prefer coconut oil because it is less sticky and easy to apply, and that's the oil that we prefer. But however, avoid rubbing oil. It's not advised to give a hard massage to the baby, rather it should be a gentle application. I have another question which says, my baby age is 1 year. For each 15 days she's getting vomiting. Is there any remedy? So at 1 year, the most common cause for a baby to be vomiting is overfeeding. So we tend to start feeding the child more and more, and the child starts understanding this and they show temper tantrums by vomiting, rolling on the floor, crying, and having some angry behavior. At 1 year, try to make them more independent by eating by themselves, and see what type of vomitus is there. If the vomiting is only the food that you have given, try to give about 2/3 the quantity that you feed for the next couple of days. Make the feeds smaller and more frequent. Instead of giving a one big bowl of one food, it can be 2 varieties, smaller quantity, because 1 to 3 years is their fussy period in life, where they don't like to eat too much volume. So small frequent feed can be better for them, and they also enjoy that. So you can give smaller feeds. The other thing is encouraging them to eat along with you. So you put them on a table. If you are eating along with you, you can give them a plate. They may be little messy in dropping, but they become better. Now, which vomiting should you get worried about? If the child is vomiting yellow or green, or it is blood stained, then this definitely needs an evaluation to find out what is the problem. So regarding remedy, it is better you make the feed into smaller quantity and more frequent, and see whether the consistency is likable by the child. If it is too sticky, too watery, then they don't like it. They like it to be in a consistency which is easier to eat, and also choose food that they enjoy. Sometimes too bland or tasteless food, they don't like it. In case the child is having any green or yellow vomiting, then it is better you have a direct consult with your doctor. So coming to newborn care. So what else do we want to understand about newborn care is some frequently asked questions that we come across is breastfeeding. So regarding breastfeeding, what we need to know is it has to be given for 6 months. It's the ideal milk to be given till 6 months, and it can be continued till 2 years of life along with other food. There is no need to introduce any animal milk or other formula milk after 6 months of age, and breast milk can be continued as a source of milk till 2 years of life. Many mothers have issues in breastfeeding. So the 3 points to have a very successful breastfeeding is a good motivated mother who's very sure that she wants to breastfeed. Next thing is choosing the appropriate place to continue breastfeeding. So if you frequently change places in the first few days, you don't get into the fluency of feeding. So always have one seat which is your standard place for feeding. Make sure your back is well supported, and when you latch the baby should be completely turned towards you and well supported by your hand. If these 3 things are followed, most of you have very, very successful breastfeeding. I have another question which says, my baby is 25 days old. She has persistent fecal soiling and making strange sound while she's sleeping. Okay. So 25 days falls after 3 weeks of life. So from 3 weeks to about 8 to 9 weeks, most of the babies are fussy babies. This is because that is the time they are understanding their feeding capacity and they develop a huge appetite, voracious appetite. You would have noticed that by now your baby is always clinging on to you and they are always breastfeeding. So during this point, it is very common for you to see them make noise like and they always twist their body. They also do some stretching movements like this. That is because it is an attempt for them to pass out flatus or to bring out burps. Because they are lying down in position, they find it a little bit difficult or different to move, so they will be doing these stretching exercises. These moaning and groaning sounds can be well tolerated if it is not disturbing feeding, and it is common for the babies to do it throughout the day for about 8 to 10 weeks. Now there are mechanics for it, some small mechanisms to reduce this is, we should understand the physiology, why they are having this problem. They feed so much and they are lying flat. None of us after a heavy meal will lie flat. So it's important that after every feeding, we keep them upright and walk or sit and tap for at least 5 to 10 minutes and make them lie down on their side, which will be more comfortable. In fact, I'm sure you would have seen your baby already turning to one side because the baby himself is trying to get rid of this problem. And these babies do not pass formed stools. Their stools are always little bit liquidy with some seeds like stool in it. So every time they pass flatus or every time they work hard to push out the urine, there will be drops of stool coming, which is very normal. This is not a diarrhea. This is not something abnormal. This will come down after 2 months of age. If you change 10 or 12 diapers, you will find one drop or one small quantity of stool in each, which is okay. But the stool should be creamy and it should be yellow in color. So these sounds, don't worry about it. You can reduce the sounds by keeping them upright and walking, or even in the night time, if you make them lie down on your chest, they find it more comfortable. And these straining sounds, just give them some time, they'll be okay. And I'm sure if you go and check the baby's weight, he would have gained very well. So only those babies make such types of issues. I also have another question which says, which soap is best for newborn baby? Now regarding soaps, what we want to understand is the soap is meant to keep the baby's skin clean and not to cause any rashes, or it should not dry the skin. So there are multiple brands of soap available. Many of them in the market are good. To name some, you can use something like many liquid soaps are also available. So most of the brands which are available in the market are good. You can use Aveeno, you can use Sebamed, Cetaphil, Johnson's Top to Toe, Ted Bar. All these soaps are with a particular pH and it can be used. And only thing is, post bath it should be followed by a good moisturizer, and we should not use other things that can hurt the skin, like using even if you're using a detergent to wash the clothes, make sure it's rinsed well and air dried. Do not use irritants to soak the baby's clothes after bath, which is like Dettol or something. Don't soak the clothes in that and then use it. How prone are the newborns to COVID infections? Newborns, if they're born in the family where there are coronavirus infected members, newborns can get the coronavirus. But what we have seen through these 10 months is they have tolerated coronavirus much better than an adults. So we ourselves have seen a couple of babies who have been infected after birth or because they are in close contact with their parents. To avoid an infection, it is necessary to maintain the distance, and the caregivers should be wearing masks with a good hand hygiene. But breastfeeding can be or should be continued, because that will be the source in which the mother is giving immunity to the baby. And even if they have contracted a coronavirus, continuing breastfeeding and home therapy is what most of the babies require. Less than 5% have been admitted because of symptoms, and even if they have had symptoms like breathing difficulty, most of them have recovered. And what I want to give you as a carry home message is they tolerate corona well, and corona does not pose a serious threat to newborn like adults. The other question is, how long should a 1-month-old sleep at night without eating? So a 1-month-old can go throughout the night also. If the baby is sleeping 6 to 7 hours also, it can be allowed, provided after a 7 hours of sleep, the baby will do a cluster feeding, which means every 1 to 1.5 hours the baby will be feeding. So this is absolutely okay for a 1-month-old child. But if the same baby is sleeping long and is not gaining weight, we have to look into other problems like any thyroid issues, any other issues like malnutrition has to be checked. So if a baby who's gaining weight well can sleep for any long hours, and it will be a demand feeding. Whenever the baby shows signs of waking up and hunger cues, you feed the baby. How often should you bathe a newborn? So we had already answered this, but to say that how long we bathe the baby, yes, we can bathe the baby. Every day a bath can be given. That is given for babies who are term babies, and the bath should be short for about 5 to 10 minutes. Any soap and detergent can be used. Once we have a well thriving baby around 4 to 4.5 kg, they can be bathed even twice a day. Once can be a hair wash and once can be a body wash. Coming to other aspects of newborn care, there are some things that the parents should know. What is the vaccine that is given soon after birth? So for every newborn, our intention is that the baby should not suffer from a vaccine preventable disease. So the first vaccine that is given before discharge from the hospital are 3 vaccines. One is a BCG, that is this is a vaccine against tuberculosis. It is given on the left shoulder, and it is a painless injection. It may cause a small swelling there, and in about 3 to 4 months time it becomes a bigger blister, ruptures and create a scar. It may also discharge some pus. This usually happens around 2 to 4 months of life. In 5% of the children we may not have a scar. When the injection is rupturing and discharging pus, the baby does not feel any pain. Just clean the area, it should be okay. The other vaccine that's given is the hepatitis B vaccine. This hepatitis B vaccine is given in the thigh. It is also a painless injection. And the next vaccine is an oral polio vaccine. Following this, the baby is again vaccinated at 6 weeks of life and at 10 weeks of life. The other question is, my baby is on formula milk since birth. We have started solid food for him. When can we start giving him cow's milk and quantity? Okay, so thinking that the baby is started on solid feeds, I presume that the baby is around 6 months of age. So from 6 months of age, cow's milk can be given. When you're giving cow's milk, choose a full cream milk and do not dilute it with water. Boil it, and up to 300 ml per day can be given, which can be split over 3 or 4 times a day. Preferable to start the baby at 6 months with tumbler or cup feeding. Better is to avoid a bottle usage for milk. My baby sleeps off while feeding and wakes up while burping and does not go to sleep after that and cries. Weight gain is proper. How to put the baby to sleep? He has evening colic. So if this is a behavior, I presume your baby is less than 3 months. So what you need to do is this baby, and you have to understand what the baby requires. Generally, for them to sleep in the night, they should have a proper atmosphere. So this baby, how do we put him back to sleep would be allow the mother to feed the baby. The mother and baby can be, the baby can feed from the mother in a lying down position itself. So because you say in your question that the baby goes off to sleep when he's feeding itself. So the mother turns to one side, the baby is also turned to one side, and then the baby can be made to suckle the breast, in which the baby has that consolement, and just the nipple in the mouth itself will make him sleep long. This is one technique. And how do we reduce the evening colic is, evening time, give him a nice bath. After that, you also give a gentle massage with a lotion or a cream for about few minutes, and then breastfeed the baby. Try to avoid lot of environmental sound. Take him for an evening terrace walk or a short drive outside, and then you make him lie down. It is always better to have a co-sleeping with the baby. Like instead of putting the baby in a different cot or something, making the baby sleep along with you will have a better sleeping pattern. The other question is, how should I hold my baby's neck correctly? Okay, so the head control for the baby, like how we are able to hold the neck, happens only around 3.5 to 4 months of age. So till then, it is necessary that we hold the baby's neck well, and also their back, the bottom. So how do we hold them is, we should always use our hand like this. The hand, suppose get me that pillow. Suppose the baby's neck is, I'm sorry to be using a pillow, but if the baby's head is this, you imagine the baby's head is here, we have to use the hand in such a way that the neck is supported with these two fingers. This is the two fingers which will come on either sides of the neck from behind, and the large part of our hand will support their back. In that way, the neck is well supported, and the baby is able to manage, the caregiver is able to manage. When you are holding the neck should not be like this. The neck should always be up like this. This bending of the neck prevents them from feeding, as well as may cause breathing difficulty. The second place that you have to concentrate is on their abdomen. Their abdomen should not be curled. Baby should be like this. It should not be curled. So a straight abdomen can be achieved by supporting the baby's bottom well and the neck up. So the hand position is like this. These two fingers are nearly at the ears from behind, and the whole of this area is the neck and the back position of the baby. How prone are the newborns to COVID infection? I think I had just answered this. They are equally vulnerable as the adults if they are in the same environment. But the good news about newborns is they tolerate coronavirus better. Their symptoms are less. They have less of serious infections. Their duration of hospitalization is less, and their recovery is almost complete and full. The next question is, my baby is 1.8 kg born and now 9 months of age. She weighs 6.5 kg. What solid food can I give to increase the weight? First of all, at 9 months, a baby who's 1.8 kg weighing 6.5 is a good weight. So we generally expect them at a weight of somewhere around 7.5 kg at their first birthday, which the child is definitely likely to achieve. Now coming to the diet aspect, in a solid food, depending upon your cultural practices, we must always make sure that we are having at least 2 to 3 vegetables a day. In that, one vegetable should be a greens, leafy vegetable, and another can be fiber and fluid water vegetable, and the other one can be a tuber like carrot, beetroot, yellow pumpkins, which are intended to increase the baby's weight. Adding egg is a good option. A whole egg can be given for the baby. And the other ways to increase the weight is to increasing the calorie of the food. So a breakfast like idli sambar with ghee or an idli with curd will be better than giving idli and milk, because milk has lesser calories compared to curd. Then for the lunch, introduction of a egg would also be good. And evening snack, we can make laddus, which is like any dal, some jaggery and ghee. Small pellet sized laddus can be made, and the child can be encouraged to eat. So when they eat this, it automatically improves their calorie. For dinner, you can choose something like upma or white pongal, which has the rice along with oil and ghee, which also increases the calories of the food that we are giving. It is also important to continue breastfeeding, breast milk, because that is also a good source of nutrition. But the complementary feeding that we are giving, we should touch at least 4 to 5 small meals a day, and each of the meals should be intended to have a higher calorie in a smaller volume, because the babies may not eat a large volume. Also give them something like a fruit juice or a soup, which will be a good source of hydration. Giving fruits like banana, papaya, melons and chiku is also a good source of calories for them. So the next question is, my baby is 5 weeks old and he feeds on an average for only 8 to 10 minutes. Is that normal? Yes, it's quite normal. So he is intending to have small frequent feeds, and the babies, as they grow, their fluency in breastfeeding also improves. So if they have been feeding for about 20 minutes earlier, their proficiency in feeding improves, and now they are able to do effectively in about 5 to 7 minutes. What we need to make sure is he passing enough urine? Is the urine clear in color, and is he gaining weight? So if he is gaining weight and his urine is fine, don't worry about the feeding time. He's doing demand feeding and he is eating for his appetite. We don't have to force him to go on for 20 minutes feeding. We have there's a question, baby is 9 months old. When can we add salt and sugar in his diet? So regarding salt and sugar, there has been a lot of myths which says like we should not add salt and sugar for 1 year of life. Well, there is no science behind it. The breast milk is the sweetest milk, and that has enough sugar by itself. And so you can always introduce in your complementary feeds, you can add a little bit of sugar and salt. Only thing, the intention is not to make it too sweet or salty. For example, should you add a sugar to a fruit juice? Not required. Should we add salt to a curd that we are mixing and giving? Not required. But at the same time, if the kanji is very bland, we are not able to give the kanji because it's tasteless. It can be made more palatable by adding a little bit of honey or a sugar or some salt. So with moderation, this can be given. Something else that we would like to talk about in newborn care will be some important things called screening. So when a baby is born and they're getting discharged from the hospital, you might see that your doctor is saying that do some screening test. So why do we do the screening test? 3 important screenings that are done in the newborn discharge time is a hearing test. Hearing test is very crucial for the babies because we do not want to pick them very late. We want to pick up hearing deficits earlier so that we'll be able to give a good normal quality of life. If we allow the baby to grow on with hearing deficiency and pick it up much later, the recovery may not be good. So it's a universal screening done for all children. The next thing is they are all screened for congenital hypothyroidism. Thyroid is a hormone that is secreted in all our body, but when it is secreted less in newborns, it can cause mental impairment, growth impairment, and also cognitive issues. So same thing at birth, all newborns look alike and they don't have any symptoms. But when the baby comes back after 1 or 2 months with the suspicion of thyroid issues, when we start treatment, the recovery is not optimal. They may develop subnormal intelligence. That's the reason a thyroid is always screened before birth. Before discharge. The third thing is a pulse oximeter, where we document whether the saturation. After corona, everybody knows about a pulse oximeter. We measure the saturations in all 4 limbs, and if there is any doubt about a low saturation, they are screened with an echo for a cardiac issue. So these are 3 screenings which is always done before discharge, and this is all intended to have a preventive medicine for your baby and help them lead a long, healthy life. I have another question saying, can you say gas and indigestion issues in newborn baby? Okay, so coming to flatus, you will notice that the baby always passes gas after about 3 to 4 weeks of life. It can be non-stop, loud, and every time they pass gas, there can be some spluttering of stools. Now, why should we be worried about gas? There is no need to be worried about gas. You will notice after 3 weeks of life, the baby is becoming more active. They cry a lot. They demand a lot. So during the process of crying, they always swallow air. Now, the swallowed air should either come as a burp after feeding, or as a flatus from the anus, or sometimes in the form of hiccups. So if a baby is passing a lot of gas, it just says that the baby is quite active and he is crying more and demanding more. So gas per se is not a health issue for the baby. They will all settle when the baby is becoming more consolable. Like after 2 months, when they start making an eye contact, they feel more at leisure and their crying comes down. When they are around 4 months, they start rolling over, so they have their self ability to do more things, so their crying comes down, so the gas will come down. So the indigestion aspect, I think you're meaning that he's crying a lot. So the indigestion aspect, what happens is, it's usually because sometimes we are not able to understand what the baby wants. We have to check out why the baby is crying by keeping the baby upright and change the environment. If they're crying in one particular room, first thing, check their clothes for any wetness, check for any insects around them, see if they're too hot or cold. Dress them appropriately and go out of the room. Keep them on your shoulder and walk for some time. Let them calm down. Then you start feeding. As I earlier told you that making sounds like all that does not necessarily mean indigestion. It is just a changing phase in their life which will settle around 3 months of life. The other thing is, my baby keeps spitting up a bit after every feeds. Is that fine? Okay, now what is spit ups? Spit ups are the milk that has gone into the tummy is coming up through the mouth. There is an old saying which says babies who spit up are actually the one who are thriving. So it is like a pop-off mechanism. Sometimes they drink a lot of milk and when they are burping, along with the air, some amount of milk comes down. So a small quantity which is curdled milk, white in color, do not worry about it, provided it is not causing any choking episodes in the baby. The discomfort of spitting can be reduced by 2 things. One is, when you're breastfeeding, in between take a break, burp the baby and then feed the baby. Second thing is, after you have finished feeding the baby, put the baby on your shoulder or in an upright position on your breast itself and give them about 10 minutes so that they take out their burp and then they sleep. The danger signs with spit ups are, which I won't call as spit ups, it's like large quantity of vomitus, predominantly uncurdled milk, or if it is green or yellow, this is something which needs to be evaluated with a scan for any intestinal block. But small quantities of spit ups, which is not choking and the baby is gaining weight, is absolutely okay. We tend to see babies spit up at least up to 3 or 4 times even at 1 year of life. But it will gradually come down when the baby starts anti-gravity movements, which is like when the baby starts sitting up, pulling to stand and standing, this spit ups will come down. The other question, also he makes a whistling sound as in a blocked nose. I give him NasoClear drops 3 to 4 times. Is there anything else I can do? So why is it that whistling sound is? When there are spit ups happening, there's a small quantity of milk which can also go up to the nostril. It may not come out. Sometimes you may visibly see it come out, or sometimes you will have some blocks there. So when there is a dirt sticking on the nose and the same nose is used for breathing, the air that goes in develops a turbulence and creates a whistle. So even in our whistle, we'll know that there's a small piece of a wood or rock to create the turbulence. Same thing is created by the nose. So for this, what we need to do is just check in his nose. If there are any visible secretions, apply the NasoClear drops. You can use a cloth to make a wick and remove this, or a nasal aspirator to pull it out. So one of this can be done. The second thing that you have to, what you can follow is, if this sound is not disturbing the baby's feeding or sleep, do not try to meddle with the nose often. Because of this sound, you may also feel some vibration happening in the chest, gar 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 sound you will hear, which is okay. Now this blocked nose will also come down when the baby is around 4 months of age. There's a question, what is the suggested diet for a baby boy of 1 year 6 months who's having hydronephrosis PUE? So if the 1 year 6 months old child is thriving well and his PUE is not causing any renal impairment, his diet is no different from another child. Suppose because of the posterior urethral valve, he has any residual kidney injury, and that depending upon the level of the injury, we might have to restrict him on salt. We will have to supplement him with more calcium and also iron. So I may not be able to give you a one-shot diet advice, but I would suggest that this child at 1 year 6 months is ideally supposed to weigh close to about 10 kgs. So a 10 kg should be consuming close to about 1000 to 1200 calories, and he should be consuming around 20 grams of protein, giving him at least 2 to 3 vegetables, 1 to 2 fruits. If your nephrologist have given any fluid restriction, please follow that and go for a timely weight check for this child. Take home messages that I would like to give is mothers should always be planned for their pregnancy. Pre-pregnancy folic acid is important. They should have an institutional delivery, and key things that the mother should be aware about taking care of the baby is to establish a good breastfeeding before discharge, to maintain temperature regulation in the baby, to know the basic hygiene practices to prevent any infection, and what is the routine periodic checkup that they should go for. They should also be aware about the available newborn screenings to prevent diseases that can be treated earlier, and continue breastfeeding for 6 months of age. Thank you.